welcome to the PathMonk Presents podcast. PathMonk is the AI for website conversions. With increasing online competition, over 98% of website visitors don't convert. The ability to successfully show your value proposition and support visitors in their buying journey separates you from the competition online. PathMonk qualifies and converts leads on your website by figuring out where they are in the buying journey and influencing them in key decision moments with relevant micro experiences like case studies, intro videos, and much more. Stay relevant to your visitors and increase conversions by 50% by adding PathMonk to your website in seconds, letting the artificial intelligence do all the work, and increase conversions by 50% while you keep doing marketing as usual. Check us out on pathmonk.com. Hey everybody, welcome to today's episode of PathMonk Presents. Let's talk to today's guest. I'm excited to introduce Santhoshi from Zuddl. Santhoshi, how are you doing today?
I'm great. Thank you for having me, Kevin. How are you?
I'm doing quite well, and I'm excited to chat with you. So, today's episode, I know we're always focusing on things like marketing, growth, product, digital strategies, things like that. But I always like to start things off with a nice little easy question and be able to give our guests the opportunity to talk about their own company in their own words. So why don't you tell us a little bit about Zuddl? What's it all about?
Sure. So Zuddl is a unified event management platform. It streamlines every phase of your event across conferences, field events, webinars, virtual events, basically everything in between, right? So whether you're running a 10-person webinar or a large-scale conference with thousands, I think Zuddl is designed to scale with the event marketer's strategy without compromising on attendee experience, flexibility, or outcome. So, I would like to think of Zuddl as something that is present not just for planning and execution, but even post-event analysis, right? We are more outcome-focused.
Wonder if it could help me plan my Christmas with my in-laws. That would be exciting.
Yeah, we could do that.
To dive into things a little bit more, I want to talk a little bit about, some of the strategies that you guys are utilizing over there. But to get started, maybe a little bit more about your audience and your clients. So are you guys focused in any specific industries or focus areas? Maybe just tell me about your clients in general.
Right. Yeah. So Zuddl focuses largely, or rather, we are only focused on B2B companies and conference organizers at this point. We are thinking of scaling later, but at this point, we are laser focused on targeting just the B2B companies and conference organizers. Especially those who are who have robust event programs where they are conducting very many conferences, field events, virtual hybrid events, and so on, right? So we are at least looking at companies that do a minimum of 30 plus events in a year so that we could provide the maximum value to them.
Understood. And when we talk about reaching this B2B conference organizer type audience, what are some of the top channels to reach them? Are you guys doing a lot of, let's say, SEO or paid ads, or is it more face-to-face? Do you actually go to conferences to meet these people to actually generate some lead? Like, what are some of those top acquisition channels?
Right. So Zuddl, when it began, we started out as a virtual webinar-oriented platform, but the idea was always to scale full stack. So initially, if I should say, back in 2020 when we began, it was just mostly about outbound, and outbound was the only acquisition channel that we were focusing on. But now things have changed. I think we've spent quite some time trying to build and polish the product to make it very purpose-built for event marketers, because there are a couple of things that Zuddl solves for, right? One is, as an event marketer or any given event marketer, any point in time, has at least 10 plus tools that they are juggling. They'll have to build their landing pages, they'll have to automate their communication. They'll have, if it is going to be a field event, they'll have to be registering, making sure that ticketing and registration is taken care of, badge printing, check-in experience. So I think there are so many things involved while planning and executing an event. So what Zuddl does is basically, consolidate all of these things under one single platform, like I said in the first intro, right? That said, what we are doing right now, we have scaled as a brand. Our primary acquisition channels at this point are mainly search ads and LinkedIn ads, and a lot of word of mouth. And I think we have been doing really well in terms of organic growth as well. We've been able to bring in a lot of traffic by partnering with a couple of big organizations like Exit 5, which has eventually turned out to be our customers as well.
Congratulations.
And yes. And yes, as an event company, we are supposed to be doing events as well, right? So we do a lot of site activations. We were at IMEX recently, and we did an event marketers week, which was a huge virtual event, which drew at least about 2,000 plus attendees all over the world. And that's pretty much how we are able to bring customers to our, to actually check out our platform and then turn into clients.
Excellent. I'm glad to hear that you guys have kind of grown. And I know every organization kind of starts and they have to rely pretty heavily on those outbound efforts early on, right? But it's nice to know that you guys have grown to this point where you're now able to rely on some more, let's say, inbound strategies so that it's not exactly outbound. Congratulations. But sticking on that idea of kind of, how do I say, let's say website success, I want to know a little bit more about like the website and how it plays into your client acquisition, let's say, strategy. So what role does the website play in terms of gathering new clients for you?
Right. So yes, website is a huge part of our client retention strategy, I would say, because most of our clients who come into the website, so website acts more like a funnel that channelizes. It's a gateway where people are able to understand, they know about the brand, they now want to check you out. And once they come into the website acts more like a channel for them to give more understanding about the product, depending on the stage of the customers. So if they are not really sure, they are just in the phase of trying out different solutions, I think website caters to that portion as well. Or if they're really ready, they have shortlisted 4 or 5 major platforms and they just want to understand how we are different, then Zuddl can do that as well through the website. I mean, so I think at this point, I won't call our website a client acquisition channel, but rather more like a gateway to move prospects down the line towards conversion.
Excellent. Awesome. Thanks for that answer. I wanted to stay on that topic a little bit and talk a little bit about the kind of those 4 or 5 competitors that you just mentioned. Being that it's kind of a small space with not too many competitors in terms of some of the other industries that we've talked about on this show, what is kind of the value proposition of Zuddl and how does it differentiate from those 4 or 5 competitors that you have?
Yeah, that's a great question. Right, like I said, we don't have too many competitors. I think there are a couple of competitors like Cvent, Visabo, Splash, Goldcast, and on 24, who we are focusing on, we are directly going against. But how do we differentiate? Number one, if you look at the core pillars of Zuddl, what we prioritize is customizability and flexibility, right? So we try and make things as intuitive as possible. When you look at platforms like Cvent also provides the same unified experience. But what is different is it's not purpose-built for an event marketer strategy. So when I say that, they started out as a field event and an in-person event platform. And eventually they wanted to bring in virtual webinars as well. So it's more of retrospectively building something because they saw demand in the market versus Zuddl, which started out and we spent a good amount of time. The founders themselves were extensively involved in field marketing and they've spoken to more than 100 plus companies with extensive experience having run an event marketing agency before Zuddl, what they understand is there is a real pain points which needs to be solved. So it cannot be just a workaround that I can just add in and, hey, you know what? You have this problem, I can just build something, or you can use this, tweak it around like this and fix your problem. That's not how Zuddl is built. So it's purpose built for an event marketer's requirement. So we have been spending a lot of time, like past 2 years, actually building the breadth of the product so much that at this point, the product is fully ready and functional for an event marketer to like handle anything from conference to, your virtual event. So that is one big differentiation that Zuddl has. And secondly, yeah.
I was going to say, it's kind of nice to hear that as opposed to just seeing an opportunity and creating something, it's nice to know that it's kind of built by field marketers for field marketers, kind of, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
So, yeah, the people that have been through these pain points before, and they say, someone's got to handle this. Let's do it ourselves.
Right. Yeah, it's more like, scratching the itch yourself. Okay, let's find a way to fix this. Yeah. And I think another important aspect that Zuddl focuses on is the outcome. So attribution to ROI. As marketers, we all know that anything that you do, you need to justify, okay, why do you do this? Is this good enough ROI that you're bringing for this particular activity that you're doing? So, and event marketing is no exception because there's too much budget that goes into actually conducting an event, right? So what Zuddl does is not just cater to the event marketer's ROI point of view, but also trying to strike a consensus between sales and marketing teams and basically other teams, even marketing operations, to make sure that, so for example, if someone is going to register, if your top account is going to register for an event, or when they attend an event, they check into an event, what happens is the sales teams get a trigger and select. And that's something that is huge because they don't have to go back to the marketer, even field marketer, and ask, okay, who came in for the event? These were some top accounts we wanted to look for. Did your event justify the spend, right? And from an event marketer's point of view, we have a very detailed revenue dashboard, which shows how your revenue is influenced, how your pipeline is influenced by the event, right? Whether the number of attendees who came in or how they engaged with your event in terms of question and answers, polls and stuff like that. So it's all covered and it's all pretty detailed. And all of this information flows into your CRM and marketing automation tools seamlessly with a native integration. So that's something that is huge.
Yeah, it sounds like it. And I know the next time that I go to a digital marketing event, which, PathMonk is attending constantly throughout both Europe and North America, I'll probably be thinking about Zuddl. I'll think like, are they utilizing Zuddl? Are they doing this? Like, how are you guys tracking information? Yeah, I won't be able to not think about you next time I go to a conference or an event.
We love that.
I want to shift gears a little bit and start talking a little bit less about Zuddl as a business and more about Santhoshi as a marketing and growth professional. And I want to get this started in terms of talking about some of the tools or methods that you're typically utilizing when it comes to maximizing your success, or just talking about growth in general. So yeah, my question is, what are some of the tools or methods that you're typically utilizing to generate growth?
Great. So I think from a product marketing point of view at Zuddl, my primary goal is to empower the sales teams because it's a sales-led motion. And if it is going to be a PLG, my approach is going to be entirely different, right? So I need to make sure my growth strategies will be primarily covering around how do I make my website better? If I'm going to be launching a product, if I'm going to be driving a product launch, how do I go about making sure that my prospects understand that there is a brand which is within their consideration set, which comes to their mind immediately when they think of a field event or when they think of a big conference that they have to conduct, right? So that said, my product launch should include various different channels. One, the social, where my clients usually hang around, where they spend a lot of time, making sure that I have enough information to the sales team, whether it's one-pagers or battle cards or any of those things that they will need ready. So when they address the prospects, and if they have questions about our competitors, or, just simply wanting to understand more about the product, they have enough information in place. And also making sure that I closely work with the customer success teams to understand where's the gap in terms of content. Do our customers need more reinforcement, right? So prepare case studies, curate testimonials from different customers who have actually used the product, experienced it, and they're actually gushing about it. But if it is not going to be brought to the forefront, I think it is, sheer waste of time, having spent so much. And actually, the core idea of Zuddl is to make sure the customers are extremely happy. And I think right from the founders to every last person in the company, spend a lot of time thinking about it over and over again, right? So that said, I think working across the teams, trying to understand their requirements and building materials for them is something that I do, or I call as tools for growth from my point of view.
That's great. And it almost kind of answers my next question as well. Which was kind of like, what are your key tasks that you focus on a day-to-day basis? But it sounds like this is kind of it, right? Like kind of empowering and supporting the sales team and working across channels to make sure that it's as easy as possible for the sales team to be able to enact all of their sales strategies. Is that kind of right? Or maybe you want to follow up a little bit more in terms of like maybe some of the other key tasks that you're handling on a day-to-day basis?
Yes. I mean, I would love to discuss in detail. Sure. Just
Sure.
One moment, Kevin. I'm so sorry. My daughter is right here.
Sure. And we're back from that small interruption. We always like when kids join the show. Don't worry about it. It's okay when we take a little bit of a pause. Okay, so moving on, we're moving into a part of the show where we move into what we call the rapid fire round. So it's kind of like some quick questions where we're looking for short, crisp answers, kind of like the first things that pop into your head. How does that sound?
Yes, sounds very interesting.
All right, let's get it.
Also a little entrance, yeah.
Yeah, let's go. All right, so I'll start you off with an easy one. No pressure. But why don't you tell me, what's the last book that you read?
Oh, I did rework, but I am at the moment reading Everybody Writes by Anne.
Hey, all right. I'll have to put that on my list. Okay, next. What is one thing that your company is focused on at the moment the most?
Building the breadth of the product. More, and yes, marketing now extensively.
Okay. Next one. If there were no boundaries in technology, meaning you could create anything, any imaginary technology that you want, what would be the one thing that you would want to have fixed for your role as a marketer today?
Yeah, I'm not sure if it is, a no boundaries situation. I'm sure someone will be able to create this very soon. But what I'm thinking is, at the moment, I've always had trouble really putting together an extensive competitor analysis. So for that, so my competitor analysis would look, so if I had, an AI powered tool or something where, it just pulls information about the product launches, the pricing, the comparison, any campaigns that the competitor has launched very recently in real time, and automating all of that and suggesting a counter strategy, right? I'm sure it's not going to be the exact strategy that I will be replicating, but at least to give a head start to what I need to work on, and then give me benchmarks of, how your product positioning has to be based on all of this analysis. Something like that would surely be a lifesaver for me.
Yeah, I know that taking the time to do some sort of like a SWOT analysis can always be such like a tedious task, right? Research, documenting it all down in one place.
Yeah.
Being able to automate that would be awesome. But then like just kind of a theme that we've seen within the AI space, it's okay, utilize AI to gather the information, but then provide some sort of recommendation on top of it, right? Like analyze it, figure out where there's an opportunity, and whether you end up moving forward with that or not, at least be able to put that forward as an option. That's a really good one. I like that. Okay, next. If there was one repetitive task that you could automate, what would it be? You already said SWOT analysis or competitor analysis, so you'll have to say something else.
Yes, sure. Let me think. Okay, yes. I think what I would want automated at this point, because I'm doing a lot of talking with the sales teams and customer success teams, I would love it if there is some sort of an automation where I could deliver the relevant content to the sales teams based on the stage of their buyer's journey that they're talking to and the product that they are selling. So I have all of that in my repository, but I would love it if someone can distribute it at the right point in time, right? So,
Awesome. Thank you. And the last question for the rapid fire round, what is the one piece of advice that you would give yourself if you were to restart your journey as a marketer today?
right. I think just stay curious and embrace the learning curve, because marketing is always evolving and you don't have to be so hard on yourself. And the sooner you get comfortable with change, I think the better you will adapt and grow.
Good answer. Okay, so that's going to wrap it up for the rapid fire round, and also going to wrap it up for the podcast. But before we move on and before we end the show, I just wanted to say thank you so much for joining, Santhoshi. We really appreciated it. Everyone should go check out Zuddl if you are in the conference organization space or the event organization space. Please check out Zuddl. But before we wrap things up, I wanted to give you what we call the last word, which is, if someone forgets everything about the interview that they just watched today, what is the one thing they should remember about your company?
Okay, they should just remember that if you want to do event marketing well, without stress-free, just go check out Zuddl first.
Well said. Well said. Very straightforward. Thank you so much, Santhoshi. We really appreciate it, and I hope you have an awesome day. Thanks for joining.
Thank you so much, Kevin. Nice talking to you.